it was nuts. It was nuts. He was acting crazy. And then a security guy came up to him, whispered something to him after they faced off, Holland and Rodriguez. And just like that, Dana's like, I can't do this. We can't keep this going. We're not going to be able to do this. And pretty much just said that it was for the safety of everyone. So, and he mentioned that this is something that's never happened before. They've never had to deal with this kind of stuff. So, pretty crazy. I was I was into it. I'm setting up for everything with the podcast today, and I forgot that the conference was going to be on. So I get a notification saying that it's live, and this is like 45 minutes after it was supposed to be on. So it took about half hour before I guess they even put anything out saying that the conference was starting, and then right away you know, Dana comes out and starts talking a little bit of, here and there, and he's acting strange, and talking about chaos and things happening. And then, of course, they try to get people out there, and it just doesn't pop up. I mean, it doesn't happen. Stuff was popping off in the back. Things went from crazy to crazier, and the reports going around. Some people are saying that it's wasn't as bad as it could have been, but apparently the UFC was understaffed with their security, and they didn't have a handle on things. It was poorly handled apparently. So it is what it is. Like, I mean, these guys are fighters, right? This is what they do. They talk shit to each other all day on Twitter, and leading up to the fight, they're gonna talk shit. That's what happens. Everyone has to try to hype up a fight, and a fight of this magnitude with these guys that are fighting, it's gonna happen. And I can't believe that they didn't have enough security out there to keep things in order or have things set up better. I'm surprised it hasn't happened a lot more in the past, but yeah, it's crazy. And I'm just happy to hear Dana saying, "Hey, everything's fine. The fights are going to go on like they should." And that, it was just an unfortunate thing that happened, and it's over. So, Kevin Holland apparently was one of the guys that was mainly involved in things with Hamzat Chimaev. I guess they've been yapping at each other and talking shit, and they got into it. Things got a little heated. They got a little close. They pushed each other. Rumors that Hamzat push kicked him in the chest. Who knows? Holland seemed fine when he came out to the press conference. Like I said, him and Daniel Rodriguez were the only ones that came out, and they talked a little bit, but it wasn't much. And that was it. They faced him off. Nothing big with the face off, but that was all. That was all that happened. So we'll see. Hopefully, some video comes out. Of course, juicy stuff that happens in the back, in the background, backstage. So I know Nate had what reportedly like 25 guys with him. Of course, Nick, being his brother, was there too. There's a couple videos of them on social media, just together and stuff. Um, and then Chimaev apparently was by himself. So that's a sticky situation because, of course, they're fighting each other, and Diaz is not one to not talk. So, and they've been talking back and forth. Chimaev's out there saying he's out here to kill Diaz for the UFC. So, of course, there's bad blood. Diaz didn't even want this fight. He's taking it anyway. He just wants his last fight to get out. We're going to get into that because, of course, if you don't know by now, I'm a Diaz fan. So I have a lot to say about that. And if you watched the last episode, I came on a little strong. But it is what it is. And, I'm a fan. It's his last fight in the UFC for now. No one's saying that he's not going to come back. Who knows if he wins, he could resign. But yeah, we'll get into that here in a few minutes. But for now, that's the craziness that was happening today. Just a couple hours ago, really. Yeah, a couple hours ago. So this is the stuff that I do. I watch all this, and I get notifications for things. So I'm online watching things as it's happening. I always have an earbud in my ear. I'm listening to what's happening, even if I'm doing other things. I guess I'm just a crazy fanatic, but I'm passionate about it, so I like it. I've been following MMA, UFC prominently for over 10 years now. More than that, I couldn't even tell you how long it's been. It's been quite a while. So, I got fully immersed in it, and this is what I do now. So, I like it. It's fun. It's just it's a hobby. A lot of people have a lot of different hobbies. Hobby of mine is watching MMA, keeping up with the things that are happening. So, UFC 279 is what we're talking about today. We're going to get into it here pretty quick, but a couple things ahead. Just to preface all this, UFC is known for pay-per-views to be title. It's about a title always with the pay-per-views, no matter what. Every month they have at least one pay-per-view, if not two. I don't think there's ever been three, and if there has, I don't remember, but there's definitely been a couple in a month. Just this past year, I think in July, we had two pay-per-views, and there's almost always title fights. But this month, it is Hamzat Chimaev versus Nate Diaz. That's a big enough fight for it not to have to be a title, because Diaz is a needle mover, regardless of what people said in the past. If you know what I mean. Dana White, Mr. Nate Diaz is not a needle mover, but yet he's out here moving the needle, right? Doing the damn thing for the company, and they're just gonna let him go, and they're trying to throw him out with a nasty fight to get him out, hoping that maybe they're gonna kill his legacy. I don't know, maybe make him less valuable for other organizations or whatever he wants to do. But it is what it is. No title fight. So with that being said, because there is no title, no belt, I brought this along because, no title means gotta bring one in. You know what I mean? Gotta have a little fun. I got my title. It's, my friends know what this title is. Me and my boy Josh, always playing beer pong at parties, amongst other games. And he went in with me on this belt. It's pretty cool. Shout out to my boy Josh, my teammate and everything. We're always winning. All I do is win. But this is our belt. Pretty dope. I got it upside down. Hold on. There we go. Keep it here at the house. It's a little bit of a memoriam type thing. There we go. R.I.P. JD. That's our boy. Unfortunately passed away. John DeVries, we love you and we think about you all the time, man. And I know you'd be proud of me and happy for doing this. So I hope you're enjoying listening to me bullshit. Anyway, yeah, I had to bring the belt in because there's no belt. No belt for UFC this month. So here we go though. We got lots of stuff to talk about. This whole card is fantastic. There's gonna be great fights on this card. But first, before we get into the craziness, there we go. Gotta loosen up a little bit. Let's get with it. Yeah, press conference is crazy. All I gotta say about that.
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
That's right. I'm not surprised, motherfuckers. Let's go. Let's get into this UFC 279. Chimaev versus Diaz. Lee versus Ferguson. Ooh, man. Hold on. Gotta love it. All right. Top fights here. These are gonna be great. Of course, I'm looking forward to seeing my boy Nate fight and hopefully win. All odds are against him, though, unfortunately. With Hamzat, he's a beast. He's a killer. He's gonna come after Nate, and it's gonna get crazy. But Li Jingliang, he's gonna be. It's gonna be a good fight against Ferguson. These guys both have their own skills in their own right, and Lee's a banger, and Tony's great on the ground, and I'm sure you know that, but he's been on a bit of a downward spiral, back and forth with his fights. But we got the rest of the card here. 3 more other fights going on in this card. 5 fights altogether on the main card. As usual, usually it's about 5. And so going into this one, leading off the card, man, whoo, that's a fight and a half right there. Johnny Walker versus Ian Cutelaba. So Johnny Walker started off great. He had a hell of a career ahead of him, so it seemed. And then something happened somewhere, and he just fell off hard. He's still ranked at number 13, as you can see, but, you know, I don't know. He fell off somewhere. He lost a bit of, you know, steam, I guess. And now he's coming back against Ian Cutelaba, who, this guy's crazy. During his weigh-ins, during the face-offs, things happen. If you've ever seen any of it, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, a little preview on that. He used to come out fully green painted as the Hulk. So that was crazy enough. But then he always faces off, and then he just jumps forward at the guy in front of him with a huge scream. I think the funniest reaction I've seen was Khalil Roundtree. You could check that one out, because Khalil just looked back at him and jumped back with the funniest reaction on his face. But yeah, and Cutelaba's a wrestler type guy, grappler, more grappling. His submissions are great. Johnny Walker's more of a striker. He does crazy dynamic strikes, you know, lots of kicks, and that's one of those things that, you know, he can catch someone with a crazy strike just out of nowhere, and the fight could be over. But Cutelaba's gonna put the pressure on him, probably take him down, and try to get that grappling going, maybe get a submission in there. It's looking like, you know, it's kind of a pick'em fight, minus 195 to plus 165. Cutelaba being the favorite. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one to start off the fight, the card, the main card. It's gonna be a good way to start off, I think. We got the women fighting. Irene Aldana versus Macy Chiasson. Number 4 versus number 10. So Irene Aldana's, he's a beast. She comes after you. It doesn't matter what way she comes after you. She's putting pressure, and she's coming for that win. But Macy Chiasson, she's been a little bit back and forth, but she's got the fight in her, and I'm trying to remember who she beat last. I'm not sure. I can't keep up with all of it. You know, it's tough. It's tough out here. There's a lot of fighters, and there's a lot of fights. So this should be a pretty decent fight. Aldana is almost always in a pretty good fight that, you know, goes back and forth, and she's always bringing the pressure. So it's going to be exciting for that reason. She's the favorite in this one. Hopefully just a good fight to keep these night of fights going, because that first fight's going to be killer. It's going to be hard to follow that fight, I think, because I think that one's going to be something that kicks it off in the right direction, and it's going to get people excited to keep watching this. So hopefully the women keep that going. And that takes us to Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. Now, these are the only two guys to make it on the stage at the press conference today. So, and it was pretty funny. Kevin Holland looked he was probably a bit, you know, amped up because of the altercation in the back. Who knows if the rumors are true? He got kicked in the chest. Push kick, though, you know, nothing crazy. I'm sure it wasn't some Sparta kick, but I'm sure it was jarring to him in the moment. And then having to come out there and try to talk to the press and keep it together, kind of. But he's a cool guy. He keeps a cool head, because he also is the guy, if you've ever heard of him, who has been in maybe 2 or 3 times before a fight, leading up to a fight, or even off a fight one of the times. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But he has definitely been one of those guys to he has things happen to him outside of the cage, and it's always just the most outlandish, wild shit to happen. He has stopped multiple criminals in the act of doing multiple crimes and held them down for waiting for the cops. Like, what kind of shit is that? Mr. Superman Kevin Holland out there fighting crime, Batman, whoever you want to call him, but he's definitely one of those guys to have some crazy shit happen to him, and he acts like it's nothing. And that's what's crazy about the whole thing. He acts like it's nothing. He acts like it's everyday occurrence. So yeah, that's something that makes him an exciting fighter in general, but overall it's one of those things where you can't even believe that this stuff happens to him. Now, a lot of people have accused him of setting these things up, paying people, but you know, if you watch the videos, which have been all over Instagram and all social media, he, you know, it seems legit. So it is what it is. There's no, unless we find out differently, he's a goddamn crime fighter. So anyway, that's gonna be a good one. Daniel Rodriguez straight up looks like he's out the pen. I mean, and he talks that he talks that gangster talk too. When he was out there on stage, he's like, "Don't believe these fools that they're gangsters. They ain't real gangsters. They're all wearing makeup for the cameras." That shit was funny. Like, out of everything, that's what he says as he's getting up, walking away. Because there's been this whole thing with Chimaev talking about Nate Diaz not being a real gangster. And people have been saying, nah, Chimaev's not the real gangster. He thinks he is, but, you know, he talks about being a killer. He's got his pictures out there straight looking like, you know, he's about to go out hunting somebody. Wearing all black with a black beanie and a damn AR in his hand or some shit. Which is, you know, that's intimidating. You know, there's things about that make people want to be like, oh, what is this about? But Diaz is a gangster for sure. He's shown that. We'll get into that right now, though. But anyway, Daniel Rodriguez, he's a hell of a fighter too. This should be a great fight. It's pretty much a pick 'em again. Minus 195 to plus 165. Holland being the favorite. I think this is going to be a banger. They both have some to come out and prove. They both said, you know, we're getting fight of the night. So I want to see that proven, because with these fights on this card, you damn sure better show up and show out to get that bonus. So we'll see if those guys are ready for that. But yeah, that's our main card. It's going to be a good one. These are all names to me that I know. So if you don't know them, don't worry. Check out the fights. I guarantee they're going to be worth it. I say that now, but you know, unfortunately, there's those times when we think it's going to be great and it's not. But let's move on. Another drink just to keep it going. We got Kevin Ferguson versus Lee. Oh, man, I'm having trouble with his name today. We'll just call him Lee, because yeah, I said his name like 1,000 times earlier and it was fine. And now I'm just getting stuck on his name. I've heard a lot of people say stuff like Jingling. Man, I'm spacing right now. I can't even think of his name. We'll just call him Lee. How about that? Also, with the Asian fighters' names, they always like Weili Zhang or Zhang Weili. Nobody knows how to say it correctly. No one knows what's the first name and the last name. Something about their names that always, they refer to themselves one way and we say it a different way. We being in America, because we always change the way things are said. It is what it is, you know. The names are tough, and I'm not a professional. I can say a lot of names because I listen to a lot of podcasts that they break down all these fights. They say these names over and over and over again. And this is one of the ones that I was like, man, I'm going to struggle. I'm definitely going to struggle with this one. And of course, here I am struggling, but it's all good. It's a tough name. So, Lee, Zhang Liang, damn it. Whatever. We'll just let that one go. This is going to be a good one. Ferguson, man, he's always exciting, and there's always something happening with his fights. and he's an odd cat when it comes to him as a person, I would say. He was I'm still trying to make sense of what he was doing at the press conference, because him and Lee were about to come out, and that's when the security guard came out and told Dana that something in his ear, and that's when Dana said, nah, we're not doing this, sorry, it's over, we can't do this, we can't keep this going. So the camera panned over and showed Lee, and he was about to jump and on the steps and run up to the stage, and they pushed him away and told him to go back, and he's like, all right, cool. And then apparently Ferguson came out, always has a baseball in his hand, because I guess he wanted to be a professional baseball player. So I guess that's a fun fact. He wanted to be a professional baseball player, and instead he became a professional MMA fighter. So he always has a baseball in his hand. It's his thing. I don't know. Weird, but cool, I guess. Baseball. I like baseball, obviously. So, he was out there. I don't even know what he's doing. They said he was hyping up the crowd. He said he was still talking in the mic and just walking around waving at people and stuff. And he changed his hair. His hair, I mean, this dude, as you can see, doesn't have the best hairline. It seems to be getting thinner. I'm not trying to talk shit about, I am talking shit about Ferguson, but I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just pointing out, it's weird. I don't know why he did it, but he like bleached his hair. It looks off. It looks weird. I guess if he gets bloody in the fight, which he almost always does, it's gonna be gross. Looking in his hair, it's gonna look gross, to say the least. I don't know if anybody remembers Melvin Gillard. Man, my chair is squeaking today. I need to oil it. If you remember Melvin Gillard, he used to bleach his hair looking like Cisco, and yeah, when his fights got bloody, that was a different kind of scene in the octagon. That when there's blood all over the place, but then you look at the dude and either his face is full red or his hair, because it's light colored, is pretty much drenched in blood. Yeah, it's been a fight. Let's get into it with Lee. So Lee, he's an interesting fighter. He's a striker for sure. That's his main thing, is to strike. He throws hard and fast, and he comes after you right away. That's the last fight. I rewatched his fight with Khamzat, which I believe was his last fight. And no, I don't know if it was the last one. Who cares? Anyway, I rewatched it, and his thing. He came out strong. He came out right away with a hard overhand right. Unfortunately for him, Khamzat was not having it. He ducked out of the way, went down for the takedown right away. But we'll get into that in a second. Lee throws hard punches. He's gonna come after you, and if he lands, it's dangerous, because he has rocks for hands apparently. The rest of the highlights of his fights I was watching, and from what I remember seeing him in the past, he throws, and when he connects good and hard. So that's bad news for Tony Ferguson, because Ferguson has not shown the best of chins lately. So for him to come out and get rocked right away, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm hoping that's not what happens, because I want this to be a good fight, and I pretty much rooting for Ferguson. I'd like to see him kind of make another run. But Li Jingliang, he's up and coming, man. He's got good fights. They call him the Leech because he also he doesn't let up. He's always on you. So that's what I should do, is just call him the Leech. I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place. I forgot. I totally forgot about his nickname. This is the last fight he won, I believe. Nasty knockout. As you can see by the look on his opponent's face, he got rocked. I mean, the real-time video, it was a nasty knockout. It's tough, because I see that and I'm like, if he catches Ferguson with that right hand, it's going to be good night. Unfortunately, because I don't think Ferguson has the chin anymore that he used to have. But Ferguson can grapple his ass off. And if he gets in close and he gets into that grappling exchange, I mean, here's something that happened to Lee. He got thrown around, but that's a testament to Chimaev as well, which, this all flows together because they both fought each other recently, and now they're fighting on the same card again. And this is what Khamzat did to Lee. So it looked more like Khamzat was the leech than the leech himself. So he got thrown around, man. If you watch this fight, Khamzat threw him around like a rag doll. He jumped on top of him. He threw nasty punches while trying to set up that submission, trying to set up the position. And when he finally got that position, Lee fought it for a little bit and he was able to resist, but he didn't have enough time because Khamzat was all over him. Khamzat set him up with punches at the end. As he tried to get him in a position, flatten him out, he was on his back and Lee just couldn't take it anymore. He let up. Khamzat got the choke in, and then Lee fought it a little bit, and then Khamzat just got the position, put the choke in all the way, and the leech went out. He went to sleep. It was kind of a scary little sight there, watching Lee get put out like that, because he looked like he was struggling. He looked like he wanted to tap, and then he just couldn't tap. He just went out instead. So he went out on his sword, but it was scary watching Khamzat just jump on him. So that's bad news for Nate, because Nate will grapple and he doesn't have the best takedown defense. So if Khamzat does this to him, it's gonna be a bad night for Nate. But we'll get into that. Tony is back a little bit. He had a great fight against, man, there goes my memory again. I don't remember his last fight was the fight he lost. The fight before that was a fight that he looked good in. He was out for so long after having one of the longest win streaks. He got hurt that time he was supposed to fight Khabib, and he hurt his knee. He was out for a long time, and then he came back, and then I think he got hurt again, but he just wasn't the same. And he was on such a long win streak, and then he just dropped it, man. And as soon as he lost, this is what happens to a lot of these guys who are on such a long win streak. As soon as he loses, it's bad news, and they just can't come back. But he did win the interim championship. He still got it. He looked pretty good against Chandler. As you can tell in this picture here, he had some good strikes on Chandler. He busted Chandler up a little bit. That was his last fight. And he was looking good for the first, I would say two rounds. He was looking pretty decent. Looked like the Tony of old. But unfortunately, he took this nasty kick. And this is one of the most savage, just ridiculous pictures I've seen in a long time. I'm sure you've all seen it. If you follow anything, if you look at anything on social media, this picture is making the rounds, and it would not stop. This is similar to the Frankie Edgar kick that he took to the face, and it's just perfect timing from this photographer. I'm not sure who it was. I'm sure it's one of the big UFC photographers, but that is just, talk about precision photo taking right there. And that kick, nasty. Those toes in the chin, his face, and the way he went down and how long he was out. And that's what scares me with Tony, because he's taken a lot of beatings, and he's been in there not making it easy on himself. So fucking kick right there. What is that? Like, it's he looks like an old man alien. It's fucked up to say, but I look at it. I mean, it's so gross. And just the fact that that's what happens when you get kicked. Of course, you're going to have some crazy shit happen to your face. Nobody ever gets a picture at the exact moment you got knocked out. If you've ever been kicked or hit in the face like that. Not too many people get a picture taken, but at the highest levels where there's professional everything around you, everyone's going to see it, right? So here it is. And I'm sure he doesn't like looking at this photo, but a lot of people have made memes out of it and passed it around, but it's kind of fucked up. Well, that's the game. That's the nature of it. So, yeah, he took that KO from Chandler and that was it. So this was only 4 months ago. 4 months ago, he got knocked out this bad. And now he's back to fight a heavy-handed guy that can knock him out like this again. So I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried for Tony, and it sucks because I'm a fan of Tony's. You know, I followed him for a long time. The fights against Khabib where he was supposed to fight him and it never got to. I wanted to see that fight so bad. I mean, I'm a Khabib fan for sure, but to see he was at the top of his game when Khabib was there and at the top being the champ. Tony took an interim title while Khabib was the champ. So, man, I just don't know that he can get there again. I don't know that his chin's gonna hold up. Fighting guys like Lee, I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. Let's hope for the best. I hope Tony puts up a great fight, and I hope he doesn't have to go out like this again. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna say? It's the game, right? Famous quote: "If he dies, he dies." No, I'm just kidding. Please don't die, Tony. That's not what we want here. Yeah. So that's that. Now we got to get down to the real business. Yeah, take another drink for this one. Khamzat Chimaev versus Nate Diaz. Now, like I said earlier, this fight shouldn't even happen. This is not the way they should be letting Nate Diaz go out. But I think they're doing it on purpose. There's this whole back and forth thing about how Diaz wanted this fight, but Diaz doesn't say no to anything. I mean, not as far as I could tell. Not as far as I've seen. Everybody always talks about how he's down to fight whenever. You know, reminiscent of Donald Cerrone, always said, yes, I mean, Diaz has a bit more of a business-oriented. Nowadays, he's a little more business-oriented. He'll say no if it really doesn't make sense. But he's been trying to just get through his contract these past couple years. And he's only been wanting the big fights. So when I heard that he said he didn't want this fight, I mean, what else can you say about the guy, though? He's a fucking gangster, right? He's going to fight anyway. No matter what the odds are against him, he's fighting anyway. And I know I sound like a fucking fanboy, but hey, get over it. I like the guy. I think right now, the way that he has to go out sucks. And I think the UFC is kind of fucking him over. And, you know, it's kind of what it's kind of been the thing. That's how they've been pushing some of these guys out. And they're losing a lot of guys to other organizations because they're treating people like shit. You know, I'm sitting here wearing a UFC shirt, but it's because it's what I like, right? I don't really like all the practices of the UFC. But who the fuck am I? Nobody cares. Nobody cares what I think. Nobody cares what the actual media thinks. Because obviously we all have our thoughts about the media and how they work and how they push narratives and what kind of bullshit they talk. But, you know, they don't care what the fighters think either. The fighters are out there trying to talk about how they need to be getting paid more, about how they would like to have health insurance in general, and how they get treated like employees, but yet don't get the benefits of employees. There's all this shit going around, and you know, the UFC does what it does. They're worth 4 billion, 4 point whatever billion is what they sold for. They're worth that for a reason, and I get it. That's the business mentality, but it's fucking bullshit that these fighters get through their career and don't have anything to show for it when they come out of it, except for some fucking highlight reels, maybe. I mean, yeah, they have a name behind them, but if they're not, they should be set up like a lot of these NFL, NBA, MLB players. A lot of them come out, you could never know their fucking name. You could never know their name, and they come out of their career with plenty of money to live the rest of their life and retire comfortably. But yet these guys, you know, and they have injuries and they have things like that, but these guys come out And half the time, I mean, a lot of the old school guys come out and they don't even have the money to fix half the problems that are wrong with their body that all happen from being in this sport. And I know this sport is still in its infancy, kinda, you know, but I think it's been around long enough. It's been around long enough to make the fucking money become mainstream and have their match looking like goddamn NASCAR advertisements all over the place, you know? It's like, that's all it is. It's full of advertisements. They don't want the advertisements on the guys because then they can make money for it like they did back in the day. But, you know, they'll put it all over the mat. It's all over the goddamn arena. And the fighters get nothing for it. And it's kind of fucked up. Anyway, that's my rant on that one. I'm sorry. I went a little crazy on that one. But it's all true. And, you know, they're doing Nate Diaz dirty. But he's doing his thing to get out. He's going to get out. And this is his last fight. And he's going out big, apparently, because it's either going to be a nasty knockout or he's going to be in there in a deep, deep war with Chimaev. And he may not look the best when he comes out of it. But he might have something to stand on still, like he did with Leon Edwards, his last fight. He fought I think it was only 3 rounds. He fought all 2.5 rounds, 2 3/4 rounds. By the last minute, you know, he's not looking great. He's all bloodied up as usual. And what happens in the last minute? He rocks the shit out of Edwards with one punch. And then he stands back and points at him and laughs. You know, that's Diaz for you. It can happen. And he can throw punches and bunches and then catch you with one hard right, one hard left, one kick, something. He can throw one thing in there that's harder than the rest. And that'll be it for you. Like, it can wobble you. And if he jumps on you, he can take you down, he can submit you, or he can finish you with punches. I mean, it's a toss-up. It could happen. Or he can just get knocked out and be done. I think he's only been TKO'd once. I think. Yeah. Anyway, there's only been one notable way that he's been taken down. That was by Josh Thompson. He caught a head kick. That was way back in the day. But I don't know. I hate the way this is going down. I hate that this could be his last fight in the UFC. But if it's on to bigger and better things, then I guess it is what it is. And I hope he makes his money. And I hope he, you know, is going for what he's going for. Which, by the way, he's starting his own fight promotion. So that's a plus. I hope that's something that's going to do well for him. Sounds like he's got a good plan. And, you know, Jorge Masvidal has his Game Bread fight promotion. Anthony Pettis has his own fight promotion. There's a few guys out there that have done it and that are still fighting. And Nate says he's not done fighting. He's just done with the UFC for now. So we'll see what that has in store and what he's going to be doing. There's rumors about a fight with Jake Paul. I don't know. But he's got to get through Chimaev first, or at least survive Chimaev, which Khamzat is a killer. He's been on a tear, and he just looks like a fucking savage every time he's out there. Now, the interesting thing about Khamzat is that he came in strong. He won a few fights, and then COVID happened, and he actually got COVID, and he got it so bad, he almost retired, basically. Yeah, he got COVID so bad that he couldn't shake it. He couldn't, I guess he was training so hard that he just couldn't get past it. He wouldn't, his body couldn't recover, basically. So when he finally realized that, you know, he needs to stop training so hard and he needs to take the rest and the time, he got through it. He talked about retiring, but he didn't. And that's probably good, because he came back with a vengeance. And he came back just, you know, he came out to win and climb the ladder and climb the rankings. And that's what he's been up to. And that's what he's been doing. As you saw earlier with Lee, you know, that was first round finish. put his ass to sleep. And those were nasty punches right there in that picture that he was taking. And he was bouncing Lee's head all around with those punches. And then he, laid him down flat, got him in position, and threw more of those punches. And then, finally he got him down, flattened him out completely, and put that choke in and finished him. Put him to sleep. Like I said earlier, it was pretty nasty. So Khamzat can do everything, and he can fight on his feet and he can fight on the ground. But he's from Chechnya, but I guess he fights out of Sweden. So he's trained with a bunch of big names. Him and Darren Till have this weird relationship. I don't know. At first they were gonna fight each other, and then they started training. Now I heard something about maybe them still wanting to fight each other. I don't know. It's a funny little bromance though. Some of their posts from a while back were pretty funny. Let's see, I think he's trained with like Alexander Gustafsson and stuff like that, but he's in that group of guys that are like the Dagestani crazy grappler wrestler, group of fighters that are, they're just hard to beat. They grind you out and they beat you down and they don't stop. And Chimaev is definitely one of those guys. Like I said, he's from Chechnya, but you could easily see him in a group of the Dagestani guys and think he's part of that group with them, all from the same place, because they all kind of have the same style of fighting. You would think that they all train together because they all have the same style of fighting. They all do the same thing and it works. It's effective as hell. So his last fight was against Gilbert Burns, and that's where he showed a little bit of weakness, and that's what gives me just a little bit of hope when it comes to Diaz fighting him this time, because Gilbert put the beating on him with a lot of punches and a lot of strikes in general, and then he also was able to kind of manipulate him on the ground a bit. He was able to expose a little bit of Khamzat's weaknesses, which there isn't many at all. So will Nate learn from that? Will he take those pointers from that fight? I don't know, because Nate's already saying crazy shit like he always does about how he gave up on even preparing for this fight. He just said fuck it, he's gonna be done anyway. But I don't know, he's always in shape and he's always coming to fight. So but this fight against Burns, Khamzat came out with the win, but it was close. And that was definitely maybe a couple of tips on how to possibly get him in a bad position and beat him, or at least take advantage and win a couple rounds. But he also has not been in a 5-round fight. Or has he? Maybe just he hasn't made it to 5 rounds. Maybe that's what it was. He might not have made it to 5 rounds. Either way, he's not used to being in that 4th or 5th round. And Diaz, as you know, wakes up, or I know, maybe you don't know, because a lot of people are not Diaz fans. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But yeah, this fight gave people some hope that Khamzat can, if you're not a Khamzat fan or he's fighting somebody you're a big fan of, this fight gave you hope that he's a little bit human. So we'll see if that gets taken advantage of. Now we got to go in to the man of the hour, Mr. Nate Diaz, 209. As you can see, he's always bloody. He's got so much scar tissue in his face that as soon as he gets hit, he gets opened up and he's bloody. Just a matter of how bad and how many times. But he's always in a war because he doesn't back down. And he's always getting hit because he doesn't back down. And he's always getting bloody because he's not afraid to get hit. And he's got a chin on him. So I'm sure that this is going to be one of those fights where this happens again. And if not, it's because if Khamzat takes him down and keeps him down and holds him down, he's still going to get punches on him. So it's going to be bloody. But in the true Diaz fashion, fuck you is what he's gonna say. He's gonna give you the finger, and he's gonna continue to fight and make it a goddamn dogfight. So I hope that that's what happens, and I hope that he holds his own, and I hope that it's not anything that happens too quickly, but I hope he also doesn't take so much punishment that, you know, it's sad, I guess, because that's what happens to a lot of these guys that are on their way out. They take that punishment, and it's almost sad to watch it happen. Just like what I was saying happened to Tony Ferguson. It's fucking sad, man, to watch these guys. They just, they're starting to lose that edge, and that I'm just looking at his picture flipping me off. I'm just laughing because he's like, fuck you, I didn't lose anything. He was just saying he's the champion of the UFC overall. It's all shit talk. He's got away with words, but it's funny and it's entertaining, and but it's sad to watch these guys go out. Like, I've seen too many other guys in the past go out. Chuck Liddell, BJ Penn, so many guys that went out in a bad way. I like more when they go out in the good way. Like George St. Pierre went out with a belt twice. He came back after retiring and won a belt again, and then just left like that and was like, fuck it, I'm done. I'm really done now. But let's hope that Diaz goes out like this. Maybe bloody, maybe beaten, but still with his fingers up. And we'll just sit back and have to say, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers. So there he is, always in your face, no matter what. This is, of course, after he beat McGregor. Gotta love that fight. But I'm sure people don't because they're McGregor fans. But I'm more of a Diaz fan, so here it is. I get to have my bias this time. It's his last fight in the UFC. What the fuck can I do, right? But Diaz, man, he's had those iconic fights against people like McGregor, against a lot of notable names. And he's had just a lot of crazy fights against big names, like I said, including stuff like this. Putting someone in a triangle with your hands up in the air, and right after this, flipping off everybody. And he got the submission too, by the way. So this isn't just, I had him for a second. This is how he ended the fight. I'm sure a lot of you that follow fighting know about this kind of fight and other fights like Ben Henderson. They were fighting for position. Ben tried to grab a leg. Diaz kind of was pulling out, couldn't get his leg out. In the midst of things, they kind of both paused, and Diaz just goes, fuck you. As Henderson has his leg in trying to get him in a submission, and he just sits up and flips him off. It's hilarious. It's good shit. Well, I mean, how can you not be entertained by that? But I know a lot of people don't like Diaz because he talks a lot of shit, because he sounds like he has marbles in his mouth, because he talks about being a gangster. But fuck off. There's so many things, so many other guys. I mean, like, McGregor's just as bad, right? I mean, he just talks all this shit. He may back it up. Well, before he backed it up, but he got his ass whooped. So how many times now has he gotten his ass whooped? So, if you want to compare, you can kind of, McGregor's had a pretty great career, and I give him props for that. He was a great fighter. I know he has potential to come back and be good again, but will he ever be great like he was again? I don't think so. I don't think he has it in him. I think he's too into the money. He's too about the money, and you get that rich that quick. He's got fuck you money. Why does he need to care anymore? He's gonna come out here and do it for fun, make some more money, and be able to talk shit. And if he loses, he loses. He's always gonna be on his thing. Diaz is the same way, so I guess I can't hate. But there's just something about the Diaz brothers that I like a lot more than I like about what McGregor does. But I have lots of respect for McGregor and what he's done for this sport and the superstar that he's become. I just don't like how he carries himself otherwise. But I guess that's a discussion for another time, because now that I'm doing this, I can talk about that if and when he ever comes back. If he ever comes back. When he ever comes back. Who gives a shit? He doesn't get off Twitter, so he's never gone. He's always on Instagram or Twitter talking shit. And you can bet he's going to be talking shit about this fight when it happens. But let's not forget what actually happened when he fought Diaz the first time. Now, the second time, of course, Diaz lost, but he didn't lose like this. McGregor was, he got beat up, but McGregor got kind of whooped. And no, everybody counted out Diaz like they're counting him out now. So this is the point. Don't fucking count him out, because he beat McGregor when everybody was like, there's no fucking way. There's no way he beats McGregor. It's all bullshit. It doesn't matter how much of a gangster he is. It doesn't matter how many punches he throws or how good he is on the ground. He's not beating McGregor. Fuck off, because he did. And he beat him and made him look bad. Like this. Just like reminder, Habib Nurmagomedov. Ever heard of him? Yeah? Because fucking he beat McGregor too. And he made him look even worse. But you know, Diaz played the game. He came back. He got beat. Whatever. Blah blah blah. Same shit. Everyone can talk the same shit about Diaz getting beat. So he didn't look this bad in defeat though. McGregor got choked out. Diaz just was bloody, like he always is. So, point of the story: don't count Diaz out. No matter how much of a fucking beast Chimaev is, don't count Diaz out, because he's always gonna come with a lot of punches. He's gonna take people to deep waters, and that's when he's gonna come out. And hopefully he does it earlier than he did against Leon Edwards, so that he has a chance to actually imagine if he fucking finishes Chimaev. He's like a plus 700 right now. He started as a plus 2200. What the fuck is that? I mean, plus 2200. I should have bet so I can make some fucking money when what I know is can happen, does happen. I don't know if it'll happen, but you know, it's a chance I should have taken. I still could make some money right now, but I mean, 2200. That was what it dropped at initially. That's insane. I mean, how do you count him out that bad? He is looking older, and he is a slow starter, so that's what's scary. Because Hamzat came out on Lee like a fucking banshee, just jumped on him, grabbed him, and held him and wore him out. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a little better for Diaz. Maybe Hamzat won't be so, trigger happy, and maybe he'll come out a little timid and give Diaz some time to wake up, because unfortunately he needs time to wake up, and that's what sucks. So if Hamzat comes out crazy, this could be over quick. I hate saying it, but I am, I do live in reality, so I gotta be real and I gotta be honest. So, I'm real worried about this fight, but I'm excited that it's happening. Can't wait. I'm hoping that it's gonna be as great as I'm hoping it's gonna be. Up and down on this card. Yeah, let's make it happen. Let's let it be good. Let's hope that the weigh-ins tomorrow don't cause a bunch of shit. And let's hope that everything goes off in the right direction and we have some great fights. So before I go, take on my last drink. As you can tell, I had a lot to say this time. I had they made it easy for me. I mean, that press conference, that gives you everything to talk about. And on top of that, Nate Diaz being one of my favorite fighters of all time, I had to talk about it. So this is a little bit longer, but it's all good. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me get my belt back out. Since there's no belt on this card, I gotta make up for it somehow, right? That's right. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks again for tuning in. we need to make sure that everybody remembers to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when a new episode is coming out or when I'm live. I actually went live again, which is awesome. Uh Getting better with this, getting used to it. I'm loving it. Got my belt here to make me feel a little better. Now this fight excited me. This whole card did, and I'm not gonna be at home watching it. I'm gonna be out and about. And hopefully next week we have a guest on here. I know I said that last week, but shit happens. And hopefully next week we'll have that guest on to go over these fights and talk about, what kind of craziness happened this weekend. I'll be out there watching the fights, and yeah, having a blast. So don't worry, I'll pay attention so I have good shit to say when I come back. But don't forget to go to my Instagram, Facebook, check out my pages. And I got to add in here Twitter because, yeah, just the other day I went ahead and started that Twitter. So it's the same handle actually, no, Twitter is it Twitter? Damn it. I think Twitter is Going Rounds Pod. Yes, that's right. Twitter is Going Rounds Pod. I will get that put in here so you don't forget and you know where to go to check it out because, yeah, Going Rounds Podcast was a bit too long for Twitter, I guess. So it's Going Rounds Pod. Anyway, check them all out. Go follow everything. Thank you again for tuning in. We'll be back next week, hopefully with a guest. So a little bit of a change up here, little different scenery, little different, uh, setup, I guess. Yeah, let's make it happen. Thanks again. And we will see you next week with a recap, and review of these fights. And hopefully it's on a good note. Hopefully at least it's because Diaz put up a good fight. But even better, you're going to see me hyped as fuck if Diaz wins. I'm going to have a lot to say about that. So let's get it. Thanks again. And we'll see you next time. Peace.